Hi, I'm Ian.
And I'm Jono, and we are Bike Gearheads.
And today we're going to talk about a review on the Pinarello Grevil F.
Yes, it's the F7 behind us.
The F7 is behind us. Let's talk about where the Grevil falls in the Pinarello lineup. It's definitely their gravel bike.
Yep, so they got competition level, endurance level, and supercharged, which is their e-bikes.
Yep.
This is going to be their F series, so it's the competition. That's what the F dictates.
Yep.
And then in the endurance category, you're going to have the Granger.
Yep.
And then on the e-bike side, you get the Nitro.
Yeah. So this is the Grevil F. This thing's full gas everywhere.
Yeah,
that's kind of like their catchphrase on this bike.
It's on the down tube there.
It's on the down tube with like a skull.
Yeah.
There's no other bikes like that I've seen.
No,
with a skull on there.
Yeah, they typically do that with the other bikes.
Yeah, it's very cool. And the Grevil F, the F is, delineating competition, and they focus on aerodynamics, and they say rigidity, so stiffness.
Yeah, it's definitely a race gravel bike.
All right, John, so the one behind us is a 53 centimeter. That's what I ride. I'm typically a 54 in most bikes, but Pinarello does their geometry a little bit different, but it fit me great. What other sizes does it come in?
It comes in 6 sizes, ranging from a 47 to a 60. So not as many sizes that you'd see in the Dogma lineup, but there's usually a size that you can squeeze into. And typically with Pinarellos, I find you need a size down, or they did kind of already do that for you with this bike, with the sizing down from your typical, sizing that you're used to.
Yeah, definitely. If you ride like a 56, you might want to look at a 55.
Yeah, for me, it's like a 58, then they have a 57.5, so you just kind of have to look at the geo chart, and if you have any questions about that, reach out to Gearhead, and they can help you find the right size. So with that, we should dive into some tech specs, let people know more about it. So what is the stack on this bike?
So the stack on this bike is 578.4 millimeters.
Okay, and the reach?
The reach is 374.4 millimeters.
Right. Head tube angle?
Head tube angle is 70.75 degrees.
All right, and seat tube angle?
73.75 degrees.
All right, so again, on par with being a race gravel bike.
Yeah, race gravel bike for sure.
So this is the F7 behind us. Can you tell us a little bit about the carbon layup that is used?
Yeah, definitely. So Pinarello, they always talk about their carbon that they're using because they use some of the best carbon in the industry. At least that's their claim. So this is the Torre T900 unidirectional carbon. So it's great. They lay it up, obviously, in different directions for different compliance in one area, stiffness in another. So yeah.
Yeah, and so the frame is a big highlight of this bike. As you can tell, it looks different than a lot of other gravel bikes. I think that's appealing to a lot of people. Some people may not love its looks, but I think for someone that wants something that looks different and stands out, grabs people's attention, I think it's a great frame for that.
I definitely agree with that, and it does look unique, but Pinarello has reasons for all of that uniqueness to their frame.
We should
we'll
touch on
that
those
a little bit.
Yeah. So what stands out to me is the asymmetric design, the onto fork.
Yep.
It's pretty famous. If you're familiar with any Pinarellos, they all kind of use that design. If you look closer, on the brake side, it has the fork flap. Covers up the brake caliper, makes it super aero and sleek looking.
Smooths the air going around there, so that's definitely something.
What else we got?
Also on the front end is the ticker. I don't know exactly what that stands for, but that is their internal cable routing through the stem and the headset, so you can see that there's no cables on that thing, which is awesome. And then the other thing about the frame is the flat back on the down tube. They call that the flat back profile, and it was derived from the Dogma, and it's supposed to make it a little more aerodynamic, especially when you have bottles on there.
Yeah.
So it's designed for making your frame more when you're drinking some water, which is good to bring along when you're riding.
Yeah, you definitely need that on a gravel ride.
Yeah, definitely. And then the other thing is the twin arms. That's on the rear end, so that's going to be the chainstay and the seat stay on the drive side, and it's compensating for pedal forces. So a lot of bikes don't take as much attention to detail when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like Pinarello's definitely thought about all the different aspects of a bike and a gravel bike, and that's why the frame looks the way it does, and it's unique, which is cool.
And it has Aero proprietary seat post, pretty thin if you're looking at it from the back or the front, which is pretty cool. And you rode it. You can talk more about how it rides.
Yep.
We'll get to that in a second. But let's talk about its tire clearance.
Yeah, for a gravel racing bike, this has some of the best tire clearance that I've heard of. It's 700 by 50 or 650 by 2.1.
All right, yeah, it's really good.
That's pretty beefy for the tires, which is awesome. A couple other things is there's no UDH on this one. It's just a proprietary derailleur hanger from Pinarello. And then, as always, it's a Italian threaded bottom bracket. That's what Pinarello does.
They're
That's
Italian.
what they've always done.
Yeah.
So that's what it is on this particular bike.
All right, so what are the color options in the F7 or F series?
The F series has quite a few different color options, so if you're interested in those, you can go look. But particularly in the F7, you have the stone green, which is the one behind us, and then you have the red wine. And I was looking at our site, and the F7 color that we have is the red wine right now. But if you reach out to a Gearhead, you might be able to order the screen color if you really like it.
All right, so what build do we have behind us here?
So this is the F7 behind us.
And they have a lineup of a few different Fs, right?
Yeah, they do. And the way that they do it based on performance level is F3, F5, F7. Okay. So if you're looking for something a little more price point oriented, you go with the F3. Looking for something more performance and more expensive, F7.
Nice. Pretty easy to follow?
Yeah, pretty easy to follow. That's nice.
Let's dive into how it performs out on the gravel. You spent some time on it. First things first, how did it climb?
It climbed very well, very efficient when you put the power down. It is stiff, and all the different frame designs and everything that they're talking about with, you know, the pedaling forces and how it, you know, balances those out and all that stuff. Like, you definitely feel that stuff with this bike. It's great. It climbs good, but it also does really well just on flat terrain over long periods of time. That's what it's kind of made for. You know, it's aerodynamic. So if you're in a 200-mile gravel race or something like that, it's going to save you some time. So it definitely excels when you're just putting the power down and rolling flat terrain. So that's what it's really good at.
Yeah. With that, the descending, what tires were on this bike?
So this is 700 by 40. So, you know, you could put wider tires on there, obviously up to a 50, which would definitely allow you to descend a little more confidently than I was able to on this one. It felt a little twitchy in the descents, but I was able to get my weight over the rear end of the bike, and it was fine. But there are some bikes that probably would descend a little better in the corners going around gravel. But I think if you put some wider tires on this, that would probably solve the issue.
Nice. Yeah, I'm curious how it would ride with a 650 and like a really fat tire. Yeah. How that would change the way it performs? Probably significantly.
Yeah, probably significantly. I mean, just based on what the bike's designed for, like, I would probably do like 700 by 45. That's probably what I would usually run it as, but it came 700 by 40.
So we touched on the seat post being aero. Did you feel it being too stiff, or was it still compliant enough?
I don't want to talk bad about any of the bikes, but it is a pretty stiff bike. It feels fast, and when you put power into it, it definitely transfers that to the rear wheel, but this bike is not made for comfort over a long gravel ride.
It's all about full gas.
It's all about full gas everywhere. And it is a super fast bike, but it's just not the most compliant. And the C-post is super aero, and it saves you time over distances. But yeah, it's not super compliant.
So if you're looking for comfort, you may want to either up the tire size or maybe look at something a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, I think a lot of the issues with compliance could be solved with the tire size, for sure.
So how does this bike perform compared to other bikes you've ridden?
So yeah, I mean, this bike put the power down probably better than any of the gravel bikes that I've ridden recently. It is stiff, and you could definitely feel that, which was great. I definitely have rode some bikes that are, you know, a little bit lighter and climb a little bit better, maybe some that descend a little bit better, but like if I'm just on rolling terrain and putting the power down, like this was probably the top of the list. It's really fast.
So would it be your Unbound bike?
I think it would be a great Unbound bike. Okay. In Unbound, there's not a ton of just steady climbing. There's not a ton of steady descending, but there is just a lot of terrain.
Yeah.
And it's really punchy, and you're in groups, and you're bridging from group to group. This is good for that.
And if you're in a sprint in the final bit, you know, you want that race stiffness.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so who's this bike for?
So this bike is for the gravel racer. I think if you're lining up at gravel races, you sign up for gravel races, it's a good bike for you. It's really fast on the gravel roads. But if you're doing any bike packing, adventure riding, you want to just go out and ride with your buddies for 150 miles on gravel roads, there might be some better bikes for that. But if you want to line up to a race and compete, see what you can do in your age group, or try to win the race maybe, it's a good bike.
All right. What about throwing some road tires on it and having it be your all-road bike?
Yeah, it could do that as well. The geometry isn't really set up for that. It is a little bit higher in the head tube, so you might want to slam it down for something like that, but you could definitely do it if you wanted to.
All right, well, I think it's time to weigh this bike.
All right.
Any guesses?
I'm going to say 18 pounds.
18 pounds. You got alloy cockpit, you got no pedals.
Alloy cockpit.
Alloy wheels. Wheels are going to hold you back. I'm going to say 19 pounds.
I'm going to say 18 pounds.
All right, 20 pounds, 10 ounces, or 9.27 kilograms.
All right, thanks for watching. That's our review on the Pinarello Grevil. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe.
And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to one of our Gearheads.
We'll see you out there.